10 fantastic fragrances that I'm always going to stand behind. As long as I'm making videos and as long as none of these get discontinued, you're going to see these pop up every now and then. Now, there may come a point where they're not being featured as often as maybe they once were, and that always happens, right? That's the natural occurrence of having new stuff released all the time that I have to cover, and also just to give you guys something new in general to watch on the channel. But rest assured that you're going to see these for a long time coming here. And the reason why is because these are all, to me, something that's special, and they all kind of have a nice mix of everything that I'm looking for. So as always, we have a mixture, a nice bundle of things, everything from spring, summer, fall, winter, casual, formal, date night, work scent. We've got it all here. We only have 10 to go through. We do also have one niche fragrance. The rest will be designer, or maybe one other niche, but it's designer price. It kind of gives it away, right? But, you know, we're keeping it relatively affordable here. Like I said, these I'm going to stand behind forever. I will also link these down below to discounters as well, so you can pick them up and check them out at a price below retail. Let's just let's start running through it here. And we're going to kick it off with XX Artisan by John Varvatos. Vetiver, Bitter Orange, some other citrus, Sichuan pepper are a few of the main notes. Even just smelling this off the atomizer, it is seriously impressive, because the vetiver used in here is so silky smooth. It's a little bit smoky, a little bit dry, but also still very fresh. You know, if you get a vetiver that is too dry, smoky, earthy, woody, what have you, it'll get to the point where a lot of people will start to turn their head up. They won't like it. But this one, it somehow has managed to strike the perfect balance here, and I love it. It's their take on a vetiver scent, you know. This is really the only vetiver-forward John Varvatos fragrance that we have, at least off the top of my head. I'm sure some others have featured the note, but this one is all about vetiver. And that note is so versatile, especially when used like this. You can wear this one in spring, summer, fall, and winter, all times of the year. Now, obviously, there are some fragrances better suited for fall, winter, that sort of thing. But if you wanted a signature scent, if you only wanted a handful of fragrances in your collection, and you wanted something versatile, this is one of those. For the price and all things considered, one of the better affordable vetiver fragrances out there on the designer side. That stuff is awesome, and that's coming from someone who loves vetiver. Alrighty, next up we have Armani Code ABSOLU. So we've got tonka bean, suede, vanilla, orange. I think I covered all my bases there. You know, it's a slightly less juvenile take on Armani Code Profumo is one way you can look at it. Now, don't get me wrong, it is still playful, that sort of thing, very young, you know, fun smelling. But Profumo is even more to the extreme, at least for me. You know, this one has just an ever so slightly grown-up feel, and ever so slightly kind of, you know, refined type of appearance about it. You know, when you smell this one, it does smell very well thought out, very well executed here. It doesn't seem like they just rushed this one out, which they didn't. At least I don't think they did. You know, there are quite a few years between Profumo and ABSOLU, so they had plenty of time to kind of release something that was in a similar vein, but also was, in some ways, kind of an improvement. You know, this one's very smooth from opening to dry down, strong performer because it is a parfum. There's a lot going on here that we could talk about for days that I've already talked about, but just know I'm standing behind this one forever. Next up, we have Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Forever. So we have violet leaf, ozonic notes, and grapefruit as just a few of the main notes here. You know, this was really Dolce & Gabbana's saving grace for the light blue line, in my opinion. And to be fair, it's tough to really create a breakthrough aquatic fresh scent. It really is. There are quite a few out there, but in comparison to, you know, tobacco, vanilla, boozy, rich scents, at least for me, from what I've seen, there isn't nearly as many fresh ones that are as captivating as those. So it is challenging, I get that. But, you know, I really do think they had a tough time kind of replicating the success that Light Blue Intense had. You know, they were swinging the bat a lot with all of the limited edition ones, Discover Volcano, Swimming in Lapiri, and even a few more, everything from that to Light Blue Sun to light blue, Love is Love, and Italian Zest. I mean, there are tons and tons, and none of them, at least to me, really came close to Oh Intense, and especially for the brand, they really didn't. But this right here is their saving grace. This one, in my opinion, has the potential to be the next big hit from Dolce & Gabbana, especially from this line. The grapefruit is what this one is all about. It's sour, it's sharp, it's rindy, it's a little bit sweet. It's like you sprinkled a little bit of sugar on a grapefruit in the middle of summertime and ate it. It's what it smells like. The violet leaf gives off a watery appeal, you know, kind of like Dolce & Gabbana light blue. They're typically aquatics. That's where the aquatic smell is coming from, or the watery smell, the violet leaf. And the ozonic notes kind of give it this airy, wispy freshness, tying it all together. I mean, that grapefruit right there off the top still gets me. It is so sour, so rindy, but also still sugary and sweet. I mean, the opening is where this one is, you know, shining. I mean, that's just, I wish you guys could smell this. If you haven't smelled this yet, please go out and get you some. But the point is, I will stand behind this one for as long as they're making it, which I hope is forever. Please don't discontinue this one. It's even an eau de parfum. They beefed up the performance. They upgraded the presentation here, nice gold accenting, different style of cap. This is a winner from every stretch of the term here, and I'm sticking with it. Next up, we have AZZARO Visit Pour Homme. This one has nutmeg, pink pepper, cedarwood, and incense. Kind of going from one side to the other here. This one being a very masculine and more traditional leaning men's fragrance with the woods, with the spices, with the smokiness. That's what I love about it though. You know, it's kind of a change of pace. When you're smelling a lot of new releases all the time like I am and kind of trying to focus on what's trending, you get lost in the shuffle really quickly. But when you go to something like this, it kind of is a reminder of what else exists out there. And it is stuff like this, you know, something that is probably more appealing to the enthusiast. And this is a great fragrance from opening to dry down. It even performs good. But what makes this one like just absurd and what's kind of the icing on top of the cake is it's only like $25 to $30, somewhere around in there for a 100 milliliter bottle. This is a steal if I've ever heard of one. And I encourage you to check it out if you want something masculine and refined, kind of traditional. Oh, and also I will be recommending this one forever, as long as it's still out, which I hope it will be. Next up, we're going with Guerlain L'Homme Ideal Extreme. Big fan of this one. You know, this one rivals the Eau de Parfum for me in terms of my favorite from the line, and that's saying something because I really like the Eau de Parfum. Of course, I really like Cologne, which is discontinued, but alternatively, I really like Cool. I like the L'Intense. I even like the original a lot. Sport is one I can kind of do without for sure. But Extreme is right there, man. It is right on the line. If they were to discontinue the Eau de Parfum, I would be bummed out. But as long as I could fall back on this one, I probably wouldn't even be that upset. And that's saying something. That says that this stuff here is top notch. It has tobacco, it has plum, it has that signature almond note. It is so, so nice. Kind of a fruity tobacco take on that original DNA. This is a work of art. It's a masterpiece, and that's not a word that I just throw out often. Please, if you can get your hands on this one, check it out. I do understand availability is a little bit tough. Really, it's kind of the same with the whole L'Homme Ideal line, except for like the original EDT. But it'll show up at some time. Keep your eyes peeled. I'll post about it on my community tab if I see it come up. The point is, if this one becomes available, pull the trigger on it. It is one of the best. Let's go ahead and knock out that niche fragrance. Well, actually, we're putting them back to back. This was kind of the niche fragrance, but designer pricing. Now we've got the niche fragrance, niche pricing here. This one from ROJA Parfums is, let me dust off my bottle. This is not the bottle that I normally wear. It's kind of a backup bottle, but you know, I wanted to get one that was full and looked appealing for the video, but it's just a mess of dust. It's Elysium by ROJA Dove or ROJA Parfums. So we've got a ton of notes. Grapefruit, vetiver, ambergris, and blackcurrant are just a few. There's lemon. There's, you know, what did I even say? Yeah, there's a bunch more. I'm not even going to try to go into it. There's a bunch of top, mid, and base. ROJA fragrances typically always have very extensive note breakdowns. This is one of them. This is another one that's all about the vetiver, you know, kind of like we were talking about earlier with Artisan XX, although they do smell quite a bit different. However, Elysium, one of my favorites. You can go back and back and back and back on my channel, where I was first talking about ELYSIUM, and it still is one that shows up in my videos. A lot less because I, try to change it up. I try not to focus too much on stuff that people can't afford, but it still makes an appearance every now and then, and it definitely is for this one. Always going to stand behind it. This is a niche fragrance that I have multiple bottles of. It's a brand that I have a lot of respect for and that I've been a customer of for a long time now. So, it's just all around. It's one that does it for me, It has that versatility of like a Creed Aventus or, a blue fragrance. And some people compare it to like Blue de Chanel, but it's so much more than that. So different, there's so much more going on. But in terms of versatility and compliments, definitely is comparative. Now, my girlfriend loves this stuff. One of her favorites. It's a big compliment getter. Even the Parfum Cologne here is a good performer. If you wanted just the maximum amount of performance, you can go with the Parfum, although much more expensive. This is going to be your affordable route into niche perfumery. Retails for $2.90 for 100 milliliters. You can get it on Twisted Lily. Use my code CHAOS10, 10% off. And really, once you get down to that price point for 100 milliliters, it's not bad. I mean, there's fragrances out there that are retailing for $2.50, $2.20 for 50 mils or something. So price per mil wise, the Parfum Cologne collection is really not as bad as it sounds. Because when you actually look, a lot of niche fragrances aren't always offered in 100 mil. Mancera does the 120s, and there are other brands, of course, Creed, but a lot of them 50 mils, sometimes 30 mils. It's not a bad deal. Let's go here next. Mercedes-Benz Club Black. Big fan, huge fan. If you like vanilla, you're gonna like this. Point blank, period. If you don't like vanilla, well, then you're probably not gonna like this because it's all vanilla. It's vanilla and it's benzoin, so 2 vanillic smells. There's a little bit of incense. There's ambroxan, giving it a bright touch, but don't worry, it doesn't smell like a blue fragrance. That's kind of where this one lands. It's a syrupy, creamy, sweet vanilla that I absolutely adore. Been one of my favorites ever since I first got it. I have multiple bottles of this one because I don't even want to think about risking running out if it were to ever be discontinued. One that goes in and out of stock quite often because it is, kind of sought after these days. So I will link it down below. If you're wanting some, I would get it before it sells out and then it's gone for a while. If you like vanilla, again, this is a must-have. It would be kind of a risky blind buy for people who aren't sure of the note yet because it is all about that note. But, I think it's one that if you're into the note of vanilla, it should be one in your collection. And for me, I'm always going to talk about it. All right, let's go to the one, Eau de Parfum by Dolce & Gabbana. One of, not, the, but one of the first fragrances in my collection. I believe this one was my first kind of sweet fragrance, I guess, because I started out with Nautica Voyage, Versace Man Eau Fresh, got Acqua di Gio Profumo, almost said Profondo, that wasn't out yet. Got Profumo, had to save up quite a bit for that because it was expensive, even still is. And then one of my first sweet ones was the 1 EDP. 50 bucks or so is what I got it for. Still is going for around 60 now. And I remember smelling it and being like, okay, there's other things out there than aquatics that I love because I was all about aquatics. That's all I want. I don't want anything else. And then I smelled this and I'm like, wait a minute. There's other things out there, That tobacco, amber, cardamom, sexiness, it just blew me away. And it's one that has still maintained a very strong presence in my collection. Got a lot of bottles of this one as well. I love wearing it in the evening, just while I'm at home, before I go to bed, whatever. It's, to me, still one of the best date fragrances for men ever created that you can still buy. And I still stand behind that, probably always will. I don't care if a lot of people wear it. I don't care if it doesn't perform good. You don't need 8 hours performance out of a date night fragrance. I mean, if you're going that hard into the evening, good for you. But, if you're going out for a couple hours for dinner, this, I cannot think of anything better. Almost done. And we're going to go with a pretty much hot off the press brand new release, or at least at the time of me recording this. You may see this weeks down the road here, but it'll still be pretty new, right? It's Gentleman Eau de Parfum Reserve Privé. That's a mouthful, right? This right here could be the next big thing. I'm not going to say that for sure. I do think, just everything is so weird right now. So much just going on with everything that I just don't know what this year is going to be like for fragrances. I don't know when this one's going to be discounted. I don't know, you know, just what's going to go on. And being discounted helps tremendously with something really taking off and doing well. So we may not see this on discounters until middle or end of the year. Who knows, right? And at least at a discounted price there too. But the point is, I think this one has the potential easily to be a huge hit. We've got Iris, Whiskey, and Chestnut as a few of the main notes. It's chocolatey, it's boozy. What's going on here? I can see how my peripheral and my hair was messed up. Chocolatey, boozy, whiskey, nice creamy iris. It's, man, it's remarkable stuff. You know, it really has more of a take on a chocolatey iris style, chocolatey, kind of gourmand, boozy, that sort of thing with the iris in here. It's much more rich, much more decadent, much more velvety and sweet compared to Gentleman EDP and the rest of the line. This one is by far the most rich, the most dense, and to me has the most going on. I mean, when you spray it right off the bat, you can smell just everything that's in here. It's a very multifaceted fragrance. It's not two-dimensional. It's not flat. I mean, this one will take you on a ride from opening to dry down, and I can't recommend it enough. Highly encourage you to get your nose on it. And for me, a retail purchase is something I do not regret one bit. Not to mention, as I've been testing it here, performance has been excellent. I've smelled this one for hours and hours on my skin. You know, I haven't done a full review yet. That will be coming up, but I'll give you a little sneak peek. It's 8 hours minimum for me. Seriously, longevity. Projection is a little bit soft, but kind of how I'd want it, because this is kind of going to be like a special occasion date night scent for me. That's how I see it. Leaves a great trail. Very nice, sexy scent trail. Not the best distance from projection, but the longevity, again, 8 hours minimum. I'll be covering that later on. And last up for this one, we have BVLGARI AQUA Atlantique. You know, it's one that I have been sticking by for a long time, and I will continue to. For summertime, it's hard to find something as playful and fun as this one. You know, there's Rosassi Havas, there's First Instinct, you know, that type of thing. And that's kind of what I'm leaning towards. Of course, there's all of the other summer heavy hitters as well, Acqua di Gio Profondo, but I'm talking about playful and fun. And AQUA Atlantique really has that one down to a T here. You know, it's aquatic, but with a touch of blue, with a whole boatload of performance. It's a 12-hour scent. It's a strong projector, and getting that out of a summer fragrance is a rarity these days, especially a summer fragrance that only costs $45 on average. Like I said, I love it, and I'm not afraid to admit it. The bottles I could honestly do without. I don't like that they lay down and take up a bunch of room. But that's kind of a nitpick. They are cool. I guess it is for something different to change it up. But when you have a bunch of these like I do, because I have backups of this, I have backups of Aqua Amara, I've got the original, I've got Marine, I've got a whole bunch of these, it starts to take up a lot of room at that point. Alrighty guys, that's going to do it for me. That's 10 fantastic fragrances that I will always stand behind. These have my approval, and they always will, unless, like I said, any of them were to have gotten discontinued. Then I wouldn't talk about them anymore, right? But as long as these are in production, they're making it in some videos. Links to these down below so you can pick them up at a discounted price. That's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.